Okay, so I'm going to briefly talk about the importance of language. And to kind of explain what I mean, I'm going to talk about the implications that the language we choose to use has on our own psyche, and by extension, on the relationships we have with other people. So, a lot of times people like to identify as part of a group, right? You like to identify as a vegan. You like to identify as a carnivore. You like to identify as a Democrat or a Republican, right? Identify as an Ohio State fan, as my sweatshirt indicates. But inherent to this identification is an opposition, right? So when you say, I am a vegan, you are taking reality and you're dividing it into two groups, people who are vegans and people who are not vegans, right? When you divide reality like this in your head, what you are doing is using language to convince yourself that there is another group you need to be afraid of. When you identify with the vegan group, you are creating a fear of people who are not vegan who may seek to destroy the vegan identity that you've now identified with, right? We will do anything to protect our identity. It's very important to understand the implications that the language you use has on our psyche, okay? Because when we identify as a vegan, we automatically create an enemy in our head. And that enemy is the omnivore or the carnivore, right? It's everybody who's not vegan. If we prioritize our identity as a vegan, then we're going to prioritize our need to destroy everyone that is not vegan. So, what does that look like in the real world? Well, it looks like radical vegans standing outside of butcher shops and blocking roadways in order to stop people from eating meat. But did it work? Does that strategy work? This is what we have to think about. The answer is no. Okay? The response to the radical vegans blocking the butcher shop was the carnivore movement, right? The carnivore movement only took off after those radical vegans tried to control everybody and make everybody like them, right? So we have to understand that radicalism breeds opposing radicalism. So if you identify deeply and you prioritize that identity as a vegan, you're creating an enemy that will spiral into a chaotic war between carnivores and vegans or whatever. You're not solving the problem. You're not ever going to solve a problem through radicalism because you're only going to create opposing radicalism. So, what can we do instead? Well, we can deprioritize our identity as a vegan. And in order to do that, what we have to change the language. We have to train our brain with different language. Instead of saying, I am a vegan, where that word vegan is being used as a noun, instead, what we might say is, I eat a vegan diet. Now, all of a sudden, you are using that word vegan as an adjective. Vegan is an adjective being used to describe your diet. And you're no longer creating an enemy, an opposition in your head. Instead, you're just saying that you happen to eat a vegan diet. And what that does is it enables you to dissolve the fear in your brain of everyone who's not a vegan, and then you can take better strategies to try to get people to adopt a vegan diet. What's a better strategy? Education, right? You can be calm and collected about the way you try to educate people in regards to the benefits of a vegan diet, whether it's on your health or climate change or whatever. And what people might do is they might come to your side. They will be more likely to come to your side if you don't force control on them, if you don't block the butcher shop or block the roadway. Now, this vegan carnivore is just one example, right? If you identify as a Democrat, you're going to create radical republicanism because you are going to try to control everything that is not a Democrat. The solution to this problem, again, is first to retrain your brain with different language. So instead of saying, I identify as a Democrat, you say, I identify with X, Y, and Z, and if that X, Y, and Z happens to align with Kamala more than Trump, then you vote for Kamala, right? But it doesn't mean that when Kamala loses, as she just did, it doesn't mean you give up your values. It doesn't mean you surrender to the Republicans. It doesn't mean that you assume the sky is falling and there's nothing you can do about it. Keep in mind that Kamala lost the election by 1.5%. Let's not pretend that because Trump was elected, that all of the values supported by those Democrat voters are just gone, because they're not. All right. I hope that can be a little comforting to you as a Democrat voter right now. Don't think that because Trump won the election that your values are gone and they are useless and that they have no power. Again, as it stands, Democrats lost the election by 1.5%. It's not even significant. If you flip a coin 100 times, it might come out 49-51. So we have to understand that it's not our identity with any subgroup of humans that we need to prioritize. It's our identity with our deeper good intentions that we need to prioritize. It's our identity with humanity that we need to prioritize. If you identify with that broader group of humanity and of your good intentions, you're going to have a lot easier time in this world. You're going to create a lot less enemies in your head, and you're going to be a lot less stressed out because of it. This is how you find peace of mind. And from a state of peace of mind, that's where you really can make some changes. That's where you can really learn how and get the motivation to make the changes you want to see in the world. Stop creating enemies in your head. And in order to do that, again, it begins with language. Thanks for watching.